Resolution 57-2015, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into an interlocal agreement with the MLGW division of the City of Memphis for the purpose of collecting water, sewer, solid waste, and stormwater charges for the City of Millington. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion's made. Need a second? Second. Open for discussion.
Yes, I deal with MLGW a lot in my business, and I got to tell you, they're the most difficult organization to deal with I've seen in my entire life, ever. I spent 26 years in the Army dealing with bureaucrats, and this is not a good thing for us to do. I don't support that MLGW get their clutches in the Millington any more than they are already.
Amen.
And I just think it's a bad move to
What's the main advantage of doing it this way?
John?
Let me add that first that when we initially introduced this, we were envisioning them doing everything. Mr. Haley had a phone call end of last week from the president of MLGW because of the fact that we bill in gallons and they bill in 100 cubic feet or something like that. It would take significant programming changes on their part. So at this point, the only part that we would entertain would be stormwater and sanitation. We would not be turning over water and sewer to them. The specifics of that, we would still have to negotiate, just like was required by this resolution. The benefits to that, though, are that we have a number of residents who are not on city water, either in the Lucy area or in some other areas. And those residents, a number of them choose not to pay their sanitation or stormwater fees. If they're on light, gas, and water bill, they will have no choice but to pay them in order to keep their MLGW utilities. So the benefit to the city will be a higher collection rate from all of our residents.
Are you sending them the bills to pay?
Yes,
And they're just not paying them?
that's correct.
Are you not following up to the liens on their property, whatever you got to do? There's legal means to collect that money.
We have not done any liens or anything like that.
And there's legal ways to
Can
do
they
it.
pass the
You know,
collection
that's
fee
not
back
like
to
us
them?
do it.
We could also, we didn't want to pay it.
So that means the restaurants don't have to pay it either, when nothing happens to us? Hey, there we go, guys.
You ain't even pursuing that news you got.
Folks,
Hey, please hold it.
we can't have that. We can't have chaos, okay? You had your moment to speak. We're not going to sit here like middle school children, okay? Please don't do that. I'll escort you out.
Thank you. It's perfect.
Mayor, what's the
Collection fees in the areas.
I mean, we can't file liens against those that don't pay. Cost of filing the lien is probably way in excess of what you would collect. I think the stormwater fee is $2.50 a month, so.
Pass the cost of the lien to them.
We do this all the time for homeowners associations, and there, but we can certainly do that. If you're gonna do it, I would suggest you probably get it several months, maybe a year or a year and a half or something like that.
I suspect if you do one or two, that people will start paying. If the water get out, that they have to pay.
They might pay.
John, this has also to do with our issue coming in July of 2016 related to taking over that sewer, what we talked about in our work session last week about taking over
Lucy sewer.
the Lucy sewer, which is part of the issue and how we're going to handle that transition, correct?
That's correct.
Is there a way that we could amend this not to both negotiate and enter into an agreement, but to negotiate and come back with a proposal that we can then look through and consider? Because I think this goes hand in hand with how we handle that transition for the Lucy residents, and for us to not address this and wait till next July is not very prudent, but to say we definitely want to enter into something with MLGW that we haven't even negotiated may be a step too far tonight. Is there a way that we could look into how we how we address this and then come back with that proposal at a later date?
We will have to see, this is what, this wording is what MLGW sent us and said was the first step for them to really start looking at it.
Oh, okay. I'll hear from
Mr. Haley.
Ms. Huffman, Mayor, the part we're talking about is simply on billing. This has nothing to do with the Lucy sewer at all.
Okay, okay.
So those are two separate things, and if the board don't desire us to do that, then we simply need to vote it down. The objective was to make it more easier for the people who pay their bills and more economical for us that's got to handle the bill transaction in City Hall. So it's not to do anything, and by the way, Light Gas and Water didn't ask for this, I asked for it, because it's a lot more efficient, it would give our people a whole lot easier way of paying their bills and us collecting it. So I disagree that anybody thinks that Light Gas and Water do anything against us. I asked them for this service. So if you don't want it, then simply vote it down. We're
And this
working
is-
with them on the Lucy sewer.
Right.
That's a much larger, bigger issue that we certainly don't need to burn any bridges over.
And people would still come to City Hall to handle these things. It would purely be the bill payment portion and collection.
What they would do, they would collect everything that we put as far as sanitation and stormwater. They would collect that on their bill, and they would refund to the city that portion that they collected for us, for a fee. And that fee would probably be around 2%. But even if you approve it, it's got two more hurdles it would have to go through. First one would be the Light Gas Water Board, and then after their approval, it'd have to go to the city council. And they, I hope, don't have the same feeling toward us that maybe some of you may have toward them. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Haley. Any other questions or discussions? Make a motion. Question?
Well, no, I mean, if it's purely a billing and collection issue that allows us to do what we need to do more efficiently, it's not really going to change the process other than the fact that we get our collection. So I don't have any issue with that, especially given the process it has to go through. We're certainly going to have plenty of other opportunities to look at it before it gets done.
And what we're being asked to do is authorize Mr. Haley to negotiate. And the final decision won't be made even if an agreement is reached until it goes through several other steps. But the idea is to save the citizen from having to go to different places to pay their bill, but the services will still be being provided by the city, and any customer service issues would still be raised with the city and not with the MLGW. So it wouldn't change materially how our people are getting their services.
Okay, so the resolution is just to authorize him to come back to us, and if he does negotiate a deal, they have to come back to the board for approval before it goes to
It says he can enter into an agreement, and say it comes back to us.
So we hold with the original that they said just to negotiate?
Yeah, that's what I'm...
And not enter.
Yeah, but you gotta take that paragraph out if you want to change the resolution.
Right.
What paragraph is it?
It's about 7 down. It says TCA 68211.
Larry, it'll have to come back to the board, it's interlocal, right? Gotta be approved.
Okay. Also has to come back.
Mr. Dakin?
Aye.
Mr. Dagan? Mr. McGee?
All right.
Mr. Ford?
Aye.
Mr. Carruthers?
No.
Ms. Huffman?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration of resolution 58-2015, approving the Millington Fire Department operating from stations inside the city limits and returning to station number 4 to Shelby County Fire Department.
So moved.
Motion's made.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Can we explain, I know Chief Graves is on vacation, but can we have for benefit of everyone here that was not at our work session the other day, an explanation of why this is in the best interest and where we're headed with this, so that we can take care of some of the comments about pay and other things.
John, you got the comments on it?
Service to citizens. There will be no changes to Millington City, inside the Millington city limits of any service received by any of our citizens. Same response times, same insurance rating. County will continue to provide dispatch as it does now when you dial 911. There will continue to be automatic mutual aid in Shelby County on all calls. Station 4 will continue to respond to calls. The difference would be that the employees who work in Station 4 would have Shelby County Fire uniforms. The truck would say Shelby County Fire rather than Millington Fire. Other than that, citizens inside the city limits should see no change whatsoever in service. What you will see, though, is a change in the number of staff we have at Fire Stations 1 and 2. Once we make this transition, on every shift between Station 1 and 2 combined, you would see a battalion commander, 2 lieutenants, and 5 firefighters. Right now, between those 2 stations, it would be a battalion commander, 2 lieutenants, and 4 firefighters. So we're actually adding 1 firefighter between those 2 stations. The objective of this overall change is to get the service area where we can handle it within the city's means while maintaining mutual aid with Shelby County. We want to maintain staffing and equipment to serve Millington and its residents. Yes, we have reduced firemen. We've reduced a total of 15 when you consider that the airport has taken over the fire department and fire services at the airport effective July 1. And then if we return Station 4 to the county, the combination of those is down 15. And that was our fire chief's proposal that came up with this. No employees are envisioned to be losing any jobs. This will significantly reduce the amount of overtime required on firemen, which means they're in better condition to respond. They haven't been working an extra shift or something like that of around the clock when they come on duty. All of this said, having a fewer number of firemen, it will make it easier once we complete the MTAS study that is in process, which is looking at pay levels for firemen, as has been mentioned earlier tonight, but also all of our city employees to look at getting our pay levels to where they should be and to where we can not be losing firemen or others.
What's the status of the firefighting equipment in Station 4 down here?
We will retain all of that equipment.
We're going to keep everything?
Yes.
That's why you said everything but a pickup truck, right?
Do what?
Did you say everything but a truck or something?
No, it should be everything.
Everything.
The county is going to be shutting down that temporary station they have on Egypt Central and moving that equipment there, I believe.
So is that going to give us a lot of excess equipment that we have to dispose of, or are they going to be able to use it all? I guess you probably don't know those answers.
I do not know specifics, but
I'm just curious.
Yeah, right now, we currently, Mayor and Board, we have several reserve trucks, and we would be able to look at getting rid of possibly 2. When you get rid of, we've got 3, you typically want 2 reserve. So we're looking at 330, 334 that we may be able to get rid of.
And those are the older?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Dagan?
Aye.
Mr. McGee?
Aye.
Mr. Ford?
Aye.
Mr. Carruthers?
Aye.
Ms. Huffman?
Aye.
Mr. Dagan?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consideration of Resolution 60-2015, which is the initial resolution authorizing the request of indebtedness by the City of Millington, Tennessee, not to exceed $5 million by the execution with the Public Lighting Authority of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, a loan agreement to provide funding for certain public works projects and to fund the incidental and necessary expenses related thereto. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion's made. Second. Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Mr. Trustee, I mean, there were some comments made about the fund balance. Can you speak towards restricted versus unrestricted fund balance? I know you probably don't have the exact numbers in front of you.
I do not. The majority of our fund balance is restricted. We have, I'd say, 2 to 3 million off the top of my head that would be unrestricted in fund balance of the general fund. I'd have to go look to give you a specific number for that. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is that generally you want to have a healthy fund balance similar to the one we now have in order to do a couple of things. One, weather bad economic downturn, but also to be able to handle cash flow during the year because we don't collect all of our revenue at the same time that we spend it. You'll recall as we go through the year, we're often showing that our receipts are substantially less than our disbursements during the year and looking at our financial statements on a monthly basis. And so we've got to have enough in fund balance to cover that. Otherwise, we don't have any cash to operate during the year.
And also, is there a schedule that we can attach to this? We had one at the budget work session that was our capital improvement plan that showed the need for this. Is that something we could post on the website with part of this to be able to answer the questions people had about the projects? Because I know, to your point about restricted funds, anything for water and sewer and the other funds that have to stand on their own get paid for out of those funds. But the things listed here are all very general city needs. They can't be paid for out of those funds. So, I think having the list we had during our work session and at the budget meeting that was part of the budget as the capital improvement plan would be probably the support everyone here was looking for to be able to answer those questions.
We'll post that on the website.
Thank you.
I do have a couple of questions. When I read this, that gives us a total debt to the city of $11,439,000 for a city of 10,400.
That is not.
That's what's on this paper. Unless I'm reading it.
Okay.
Okay, look at that.
I'm sorry. That was the attachment to the next item.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Is that not true?
That is correct.
Okay, so the total net issue with interest is $15,228,000 with interest.
Wait a minute, what now?
So if you look at the total, you add interest in there in the right-hand column, it shows $15,228,458 when you include interest.
See that? Right, out of $11,430,000.
Yeah, so $3,789,000 in interest that we're paying for the city. Now, what's that do to our bond rating?
Well, first of all, let me say that we do not have a bond rating per se. The lender does not, we have never had a bond rating historically. We looked at getting one before this issue and were advised that we did not need one. So therefore, that they would issue it with or without a rating, the interest rate would be the same in our case. And because of the cost of obtaining a rating, we decided not to do that. It does not have an effect on our rating, nor on the interest rate we would pay.
I think it's a bigger issue than just that. You know, there's no question we need improvements in the city. It's not even debatable. It's how we do it and how we pay for it. My big concern is it was expressed tonight, is, as I've said this before, is that we're taking money that we had intended to put into the schools and using that for debt service to pay this until 2036. That money's gone. Okay. So what happens when the school comes in with their capital improvement plan and they need to borrow $10 million or $5 million or whatever they're planning includes? Is the city going to be able to do that, or we're just going to have to blow it off?
The city will have a choice. First of all, as each year goes along, we're repaying principal on our debt, so that rebuilds debt capacity. If you notice, starting in 2018, we're paying back over $500,000 a year in principal. So each time we pay back $500,000, that adds $500,000 in capacity. As our tax base grows, that also, under our debt policy, raises our debt capacity. The question of what is our debt capacity under state law, there is no limit. We have created our own internal limit in our debt policy. We've attempted to be very conservative in that. The city will have a choice, whatever that is, at such time that you want to issue additional debt for schools or anything else, to decide whether you want to increase that capacity. Once we've issued this, we would still have, as I recall, about $1 billion capacity.
That's based on our debt plan that we've got right now. But my concern is that if you look at the school's capital improvement program, they're looking at year after next, 2016, where they're going to come in for a major program to borrow money. Is that not right, Liz? Is it 2016 or 2017? I think next year your plan is just to
Survive.
and get the freshman academy and this kind of stuff.
Right.
But what's the capability going to be able to do that? Because I tell you, and I had the most successful businessman in Millington come to my office last week, and he made a statement to me, and he's looking to sell all of his businesses because of what's going on in this city.
Right.
And he said there's absolutely nothing in this city to bring new residents into town except for a school system. So if we don't have the best school system in Shelby County, we're going to wither on the vine. If we have someone come out on a native base and they go to Arlington, they look at this school, and they come out of Millington, look at the school, we've got great students, we've got great teachers, we've got great central office, but we don't have great facilities. And they look at the facilities at Arlington or either in Bartlett or Germantown, where are they going to go? So we have to get it. We have to understand that how important to get the facilities for these schools is to this future of the city. We need the capital. We need the improvements for the streets and stuff like that. But that's not what's going to bring the residents into town. It's having the best school system possible. And in order to do that, we've got to have the best facilities possible, and we don't have them. And we're taking the money that we had hoped to put in there and doing it for a $5 million bond. I've got a problem with that.
Well, we transitioned over this argument from a $5 million bond to having the best schools at the failure of the city potentially. We can have this debate and we can disagree. And I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with the $5 million bond tonight either. I think maybe we're a little bit too aggressive. I'd like to take a little more look at that, kind of slow things down a little bit. Makes me nervous. But I've held my tongue a long time, and to think that I was elected just to come in here and raise taxes, it's not going to happen. And this money from my city, I'm not trying to get into yours, from a discussion standpoint, was always meant for us to be considered a marriage and to grow this town together. Most of you don't know that I come from a school district in Arkansas that the superintendent are good friends of mine, the school teachers or principals are friends of mine that I graduated with. And if you don't know where I'm from West Memphis. Drive over about 20 minutes over across the bridge and you take a look at the town. And then you take a look at the school. I went to a school that was something I could brag and have pride in. And my dad was on that school board. My mother was a school teacher at the time. And that superintendent hoarded money, and they hoarded money, and they run a great school system, I think. And you run over there today, and they've got 10,000 square foot weightlifting facilities, state of the art, AstroTurf fields, big jumbotrons, big new clubhouses. The school's got brand new additions, and you know what? The town's decreased 4,000 people because people like me want to get educated and never go back because the city is in disarray. And you're going to have a hard time convincing me that if you put all your eggs in one basket, whether it's for the schools or whether you put all your schools in one basket for the city, everybody fails. This is a marriage between both of us. Neither one's in a position to give all the money to one party. Everybody has great needs. It's our job to make sure that this money can be spent conservatively for the best interests of not only the schools, but for the citizens of this town. And I'm not here to debate the intent of every single 900 voter of where you thought the money was going to be spent. I can only tell you what I voted for the schools and I voted for the tax. But the reality is it barely passed. And actually it failed until we sued them for it. So there's still a great divide. People are living on a budget in this city that they are concerned. They want the best schools. We all want the best schools. But not to the failure of the city or vice versa. It can't happen that way. And to think that we're going to sit by and let that happen would be a grave mistake. If one of the two fails, we all fail. And if we can't come to terms with the fact that we have to look at this half-cent sales tax, that the city needs to continue to thrive and upgrade the buildings when we can, this city can try to thrive and make the updates to our city's buildings as we can with personnel. If we can understand that we've got to utilize this money and grow together, we're all going to lose. If one thrives and the other fails, we all lose. I come from a municipality that proves it. If you don't believe me, drive 20 minutes over to West Memphis and I'll show you the town.
I still think we can do both, Chris. I really do.
But we can use both with the same money.
That's correct.
That's exactly right.
We can do both, but we need to sit down with the school board and meet with them with this, maybe in a small group, and come up with the way.
I agree.
I came up with the way to do it, to be able to do both.
I agree.
Okay, and we can do that. We just have to sit down and negotiate with the school board and do it.
I agree. That's long overdue.
Absolutely.
We have issues that we're going to have to address incrementally. We can't throw everything we have at one issue. Can't do it. There's no way we can do that. What we have now is this bond issue that I'm uncomfortable with. And that doesn't mean that I believe all the money ought to go to the school system. Because we need to manage all of the city's finances in a way that is responsible to all of the citizens. I'm not sure we need $5 million right now. And if this is the smallest amount we can get at a time, I'm not understanding why we don't take less money of a loan. Would the loan amount change the rate, the cost of the money?
I don't believe it would, but I'd have to check.
Yeah, we borrowed $2 million.
I don't believe we need $5 million for what we're doing. But I don't know that yet. We need to look at this and make sure that we're not spending more. Mike beats that same drum, but that drum needs to be beat this time. In that I don't want to lock up all of the money so that if the school does need it, and we agree with them that they need it, that they can't get it. So I'm not in favor of that either. So I need a little more information before I'm going to be in agreement with a bond issue, and I'm far, far away from a tax increase vote.
Mayor, I've moved that we table Resolution 60-2015 and 61-2015 pending a work session with Mr. Trustee and Mr. Haley with a detailed list of what we absolutely need to have done versus this $5 million, so we can get some clarity on what that involves and move forward and put it back on next month's agenda.
I agree.
Motion's made, seconded.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. So